what are your thoughts on the subject of steroids and their role of boosting strength and endurance?
I've got mixed emotions on it. There's a part of me that says, man, let's let them take what they want. Let's see how far we can push this thing, because we love to see, incredible feats, and steroids are going to help with that. And so many guys have accomplished these incredible feats on steroids with people not knowing, and it's going to be very hard for a guy to naturally accomplish some of these things now. At the same time, for myself, being a strength athlete, I've never taken them, and it was something I always prided myself in going into a competition, especially Strongman. I think there were quite a few guys that I would compete against. I was usually one of the smaller guys in the 231 weight class. I'd usually go in weighing about 215, and there were some dudes that were pretty obviously juicing.
Do they test you or no in Strongman?
Amateur Strongman, they do not.
So you could pretty much get away with anything. Jeff Appel, thank you for joining me on the Auxoro podcast. It's been a while, brother.
Yeah, man, been too long.
So I'm excited to get into strength and conditioning and sports performance, among other things. And I thought a good way to start off would be to give people a broad view of strength and conditioning and a look at your career. So you've had a long career as a strength and conditioning coach across multiple sports. You coached me in baseball. You've also coached football, lacrosse, and have worked with many athletes. Some have competed at the highest level of pro sports. So I wanted to ask you, what makes building strength so important for being a great athlete and a skilled sport?
Ooh.
Starting off with a laser.
Yeah. I would say it doesn't really make a great athlete. It maximizes that athlete's potential. It's going to help keep the athlete safe, going to keep them healthy, keep them on the field, and keep them as bulletproof as possible.
Yeah, I feel like coming into college at University of Richmond, where you were coaching me in baseball, I feel like I was at the precipice of strength training becoming more popular in sports, because when I was in high school, I never had an organized lift in high school before I got to Richmond. And that was 2011 I graduated. And so Richmond was my introduction to strength being a part of sports. Before that, it was, if you want to throw harder, just work on throwing harder. If you want to hit the ball farther, work on hitting. And it seems like in that period, mid 2000s, 2010s, that strength training was almost demonized in a way. Like if you're too strong, you're going to get hurt, or if you incorporate strength training into sports, you're going to degrade yourself in some way. Did you feel like you were fighting against that at the beginning of your career, since you started around that time period, like early mid 2000s?
I would say yes, depending on the sport. I mean, I think football fought that battle, decades before, and some of those other sports, baseball, soccer, were fighting that battle around the time when you came in. Yeah, I think first time I met with Mac, my interview, he was like, Jeff, I did strength train when I played, and Wheels over here didn't strength train when he played. Shit, we were fine. I mean, we're going to do it. I don't know why, but we're going to do it. So I got quite a bit of that. I think coaches would do it just because they were told, hey, we should strength train, but getting that buy-in was a whole other thing.
Yeah, so that's crazy, because we don't really get to hear the behind the scenes as athletes. Things just happen with the coaches, and then decisions are made, and the program is given to you. The strength program is given to you as an athlete. And just for some background, you're talking about the coaches who coach baseball at University of Richmond hiring you as a strength coach. And so they knew that strength was becoming a thing in baseball, but didn't really buy into it at the time, and they were willing to give you a shot. Yeah, that's so when you're going into a sport like baseball and you're trying to build strength with coaches and athletes that may or may not buy into it, where do you start? Because going into football, it's more part of the system. It's more accepted that you're going to build strength, and that's going to make you a better football player. But that correlation had not really been made at that point, and is still being made in baseball, where becoming stronger up to a point will make you a better baseball player.
Yeah, I think strength for the big thing. The big thing with sports like baseball is it's not going to make you a better player. It's not going to help you hit the ball. It's not going to help you throw the ball, but it's going to maximize that potential. It's going to give you the strength and the power that you need to do these things at a very high level. Easiest way to win guys over is showing them the results, which is kind of a tough thing when you don't have a lot of buy-in. I feel University of Richmond first couple years, I didn't have the buy-in of the coaches or the players, and it really took getting those first couple of classes out of there. And once those younger guys that came up strength training throughout their entire baseball career, once those guys became juniors and seniors, it fed over to the younger guys. They bought in quicker. The coaches saw the results. It completely changed around that culture. You said you got there, 2011?
2011, yeah. Fall 2011 was the first season for me.
Yeah, so I think you got there right around that time when the culture was starting to shift into a pretty damn hard-working baseball team.
Yeah, and I remember, like I said, in high school, and even my parents before that, my dad, huge on lifting weights is gonna get you hurt in some way. If there was a player in the New York Times where there's an article about him getting hurt, I remember my dad would show me and being like, must have been lifting weights. And so from 8 years old, that connection had been made in my head. And even through high school, it's not really a part of the program. So I imagine that can be a difficult thing as a coach to introduce players to a concept like strength training and conditioning. Not only are they unfamiliar with, but they're coming in with a preconceived bias that this is actually going to make me a worse player, despite the evidence.
Yeah, I think we got quite a bit of that, especially amongst the pitchers. It's kind of the fallacy of lifting weights is going to make you muscle bound and tight and going to end up leading to injury. And I think you guys probably saw we didn't fight some of those battles with you guys, like a barbell bench press with pitchers. There's nothing wrong with it, but pitchers have been told their whole careers I shouldn't bench press. And I don't know if you ever remember doing a barbell bench press with us. I don't think we did with the pitchers. Yeah, we may have thrown it in there once in a while.
I think
but
we did with, I forget what it's called for the bench press, but it's almost like a hex bar for bench pressing.
Yeah, the old
neutral grip. We never did the traditional barbell grip.
Yeah, we just call it the buff bar.
Which I liked, by the way. Initially when I first got to Richmond, you have to go through the initial soreness, both physically and mentally, of learning the different lifts and getting used to it. But when I think back at the peak of my career performance-wise, which for me would be sophomore, junior year before I had a couple elbow surgeries, I was always performing better, not just throwing harder, but actually performing better when I was at my strongest. And other factors come into play, like paying attention to mobility, and your throwing program obviously would be number one when you're a pitcher. If you have all the strength in the world but you can't put it together, that doesn't really do shit. But when I think back to my time as a player, strength was, if I followed my strength, I could probably match it up almost trajectory-wise with how I improved as a player.
Yeah, I saw that quite a bit with you guys, especially amongst the hitters. The hitters, I felt strength really translated over. What I saw with the pitchers is the guys that would run through a freaking wall in the weight room were usually the guys that stayed healthy. It was usually the guys that were a little hesitant of training hard. A lot of times where the guys would get hurt.
Yeah. What does it mean to run through the wall in the weight room? Because you have reps, you have weight, guys of all different sizes, mentalities. What does it mean? What did you see in those pitchers that were not getting hurt specifically when it came to strength training and performing on the field?
Probably buy-in more than anything else. They they would just, if they were told, hey, put this weight on the bar, let's go. Obviously, we're smart about things. If a guy was, hurt or not feeling it for the day, maybe a little down from some midterm studying or something like that. We would adjust for those guys, but the guys that would just, it didn't matter what we did, they were going to do it. They'd go hard. We weren't always the most athletic guys, weren't always the best pitchers on the team, weren't always the strongest guys in the room, but I feel like, and some weren't always the healthiest guys, but most of those guys that would just run through a wall, do anything we asked of them, were usually the guys that didn't get hurt. One of the guys that comes to mind, do you remember Maffett? Was he there when you were there?
Alex Maffett, yeah. He was a senior and I was a freshman.
Yeah, that dude, he had like a linebacker mentality. He would attack everything he did.
And body.
Yeah.
And a linebacker body.
And I don't remember that guy ever getting hurt.
Yeah, he was very consistent, would get on the mound. When I was there as a freshman, I played with him for 1 year, but he would start, he would come in as a reliever. He was built like a brick shit house, but consistently mid upper 80s, righty pitcher, could run it up there. And he was one of those guys that it seemed like he needed strength as an asset to pitch. It was something that fueled him going into the weight room, whether it's an organized lift with a team or going into Weinstein, getting in some extra work in the gym. He was a guy who seemed like he benefited a lot from strength training and then carrying it over to being healthy as a pitcher.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, no, I was just going to say the camaraderie is something that I miss in the weight room. And I think a lot of the workouts that I do now, training Muay Thai or going to the gym, but maybe in a group of people sometimes or classes, I think a lot of that is me chasing the camaraderie feeling of being in the weight room with 30 other guys, just being like, let's fucking go, get the bar up. You got to do what you got to do. And all guys supporting each other. And that's something that I wish was more more easily available outside of college sports, like weightlifting groups or things like that. It's just I enjoy weightlifting solo and I enjoy working out solo, but there's something about being in a weight room with 20, 30 other people that are all pushing towards the same thing kind of carries you through a lift when, you have a midterm or you're hungover as fuck. Maybe you're like, fuck it, I know we have lift at 6 a.m. tomorrow, but we're going out Thursday night. I'm going to sleep in the locker room for 2-3 hours, which I did a few times. And then you get up and chug some C4 and there's 20 other guys that are doing it with you. So that camaraderie aspect is something I miss a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
So what drew you to specialize in strength and conditioning of athletes specifically? Was it childhood? Did you know from the time you were a kid? Was it something that you realized in college? What drew you to specialize in strength and conditioning?
Well, I've loved sports ever since I was a little kid, for as long as I can remember. And I was usually one of the best in gym class no matter what we do. And we had a little section one time. We would rotate gyms in middle school. And in 7th grade, we rotated into the wrestling room. And we had like a 4-6 week block of strength training. I'd never done it before. And I was like the worst kid in the class. And I hated it. I remember I went home that day, told my dad, I'm like, hey, we got to go get some weights. I'm weak. I don't want to be weak. That weekend we went to Gart Brothers, got the little cheap bench with the little leg extension, leg curl, got some concrete plates and picked up some weights from my uncle's house and been lifting ever since. It was 7th grade. And kind of
was your dad the first person to ever call you a soft ass bitch? Was that the what do you call it, the birth or the beginning of the term soft ass bitch in your life? Was it like, son, we're gonna get you strong as fuck, you're not gonna be a soft ass bitch anymore, here's some concrete plates?
I may have suppressed that memory if you said that.
Yeah. Did I bring it back up? That's why I have a pen here. This is therapy. I'm taking notes for our next session.
Yeah, thanks for reopening that wound, asshole.
Yeah, no, I just that's what I do. It's less of a podcast and more of tricking people into therapy. That's the way that I think about it.
My wife said I wasn't important enough to talk to for this long, so I buy in what you're saying. It probably is therapy.
Oh well, I mean that's. I think you are important because I know you are important because you've specialized in a craft, which is getting people stronger in strength and conditioning, and you've built skills and experiences over decades. And I believe that makes someone important and worth talking to as a podcaster. So some of my greatest podcasts, have been more of the people always think about podcasting like you want to do it to talk to celebrities or you want to do it to talk to famous people, but some of the greatest podcasts I've had and some of the best responses have been talking to average Joes like you and me, and we're just shooting the shit, and the guest knows something very deep, a slice of life which they've practiced over decades. So you can record that and show it to your wife every time she tells you you're not worth it. You just play this on repeat.
Appreciate that. You're gonna go on her shit list.
Yeah, perfect. We could talk about it on the podcast for round 2. So your desire for strength training and strength and conditioning for athletes came from a place of weakness in yourself, like you felt you were at a disadvantage in some way, and you wanted to get stronger, literally in getting strong, and that led to you becoming interested in strength training in sports.
Yeah, so I said that 7th grade year, day one, obviously as a strength coach, we're looking back on it, we're not going to hit 1 rep maxes with a bunch of kids that can't can't lift or have never lifted before, but that's what we did day one. And I was just embarrassed. I was like, man, I am weak. And over the next 4 to 6 weeks when we were in there, probably wasn't the strongest guy in the room after that, but I was one of them. And I loved it, fell in love with weightlifting. The next year, went from being like a mediocre football player to making, the little all-star selection for our middle school team. And I saw the correlation of getting stronger and becoming a better player, a better athlete. And that started that passion in my life started right then. And I had no idea what strength and conditioning was throughout high school. A football coach and wrestling coach ran the weight room, and I just thought that's how it was everywhere. Football coaches and wrestling coaches and, the sport coaches would take care of it. And it was that way for a long time. Probably about halfway through college, what strength and conditioning was. I had no direction my first 2 years of college. I think I had like a 1.6 GPA, really close to dropping out.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, end of sophomore year, I found out about strength and conditioning and never looked back. Went from a 1.6, graduated to 3.0, and it's just been a passion ever since.
So the practice of strength and conditioning, you felt raised the other areas of your life, like academics and being in the classroom, shit like that?
Yeah. I always struggled in academics if it was something I didn't care about, especially in college when going to class is pretty optional.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if I didn't care about it, I wasn't going to go to class. I wasn't going to read extra about it. Yeah, I think strength and conditioning really gave me the discipline I needed.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much shit that I learned in college in the classroom that I don't use now, and I was not interested at the time and never will be interested. And doing things like going to practice and being in the weight room, baseball was something I was more interested in than academics. It was basically, baseball, hanging out with friends, and then going down. I was lucky. I went to a high school where they were pretty strict, all boys Catholic high school. So I learned how to put in less effort to get higher results. So school, I don't know if I was better at school. It wasn't because I was smarter. It was because I had the tools, grades, and memorize and be able to regurgitate that back in a way where there was an exchange of me. I'm going to tell you shit that is right, and then the teacher gives me an A or a B. I never really felt smart in school. I just kind of felt good at doing that shit. The times of practice and the times being in the weight room and times with friends far outweighed the time in the classroom. And I wish that school was more meaningful in the sense that the classes, it was more of a two-way thing. Like you just didn't pick your class, but your teachers chose you in a way where they made you interested. They didn't just take for granted that because you signed up for a class and it's their job, you're just going to be interested in it right off the bat. But they actually took the time to make you interested in learning that specific craft and learning that specific class. And I feel like academics is almost a given where you go into the class and the teacher assumes because you signed up, you're interested in it in some way, but there's not, like, I didn't feel like I was being pulled into academics. I never really felt like I was in a class that made me want to do it in the real world. It was mostly shit that I had to get through to do the other things, which I really wanted to do, which were baseball.
Yeah, that got me through high school. I got to stay eligible for football, so that's why I went to class. That's why I did enough work to get decent grades. I'd say very few teachers, at least that I had, did a really good job of motivating you to learn. If you
feel like someone in the weight room is unmotivated, what are some things you might do to get that person more interested in lifting or get that person more willing to buy in? Because you said the guys who are willing to buy in are typically the guys that will stay healthier, will have a better attitude. How do you get those seemingly uninterested athletes buy into getting stronger and going with the program?
It depends on the athlete. I'd say every athlete's going to be a little bit different. They're all motivated by different things. So it's kind of up to us to figure out what makes them tick. Some guys, want the meathead stuff of, hey, I want to be big and strong, and they're easy to motivate. Some guys are really scared about getting hurt, whether it's in the weight room or in their sport. So you got to show them how it can help them. And then also just showing them that you care, that you're there for their best interest. Anything we're doing is to help them. A lot of a saying I've seen in multiple locker rooms is the kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that's a big one, is showing the guys you give a shit about them. That helps big time with their buy-in.
Yeah. I feel like even if someone doesn't know as much about the craft of weightlifting, and I've seen this with interns that were at University of Richmond and assistants, guys that would come in to help you out. And there were guys that seemed like they knew a lot, but they didn't really care as much about getting us stronger. And then there were other guys that came in, I felt like I knew more than they did, just being there for a year or two. They cared a lot about the program and they got fired up in the weight room. And that emotion, I feel the emotion is something interesting in the weight room, because baseball is such a traditional sport where you're taught to suppress emotion from a young age as a competitor. You know, you don't pimp home runs, don't pump your fist on the mound, you know, be a robot out there, just perform. And the game is changing now, and I think athletes are allowed to have more emotion and do it for the better. But the weight room was always a part of baseball where I felt like you could let that emotion go, and players and coaches, where you could say what you want as long as you were following the program. You could joke around if it's not taking away from the lift, and it's in practice a lot of times or in games, you know, that shit's not allowed. Even if you're performing well, it's just like, strike this kid out and then put your head down and walk back to the dugout. A lot of times that emotion didn't seem as welcome on the field as it did when you're in the room with the coaches and the players.
Yeah, we try to make it a place where you guys wanted to be.
What would you say is the holy grail exercise of building strength? So people usually think about the squat, the deadlift, the bench as the trifecta of, I don't know anything about lifting, but those are the three things that I see. Which one would you say is the best indicator of strength? Like a guy who could squat a shit ton, deadlift a shit ton, bench a shit ton?
Probably the squat. Deadlift is going to be right up there too. I love the raw strength of the deadlift. Of how much weight can you pick off the ground? That's, you know, if people ask me how much can you lift, that's the first thing I think of is the deadlift. But I would say the squat is probably going to be, if we could do one exercise with athletes, that's going to be the go-to. And may even go front squat over back squat on that one.
Front squat over back squat? Why front squat?
I think you get just a little bit more out of it. I feel personally it's a more natural movement. Holding the bar in front and sitting your hips down, have a tendency to balance you out a little bit because the load is in the front of your body. You also get a little bit of upper body mobility, a little bit more core stability. Weight is wanting to pull you forward.
Yeah, I did a bunch of front squats, especially my last 2 years because of elbow surgery. So I wasn't able to put my arm behind to do the back squat. And it's definitely a very humbling experience when you do a front squat set for the first time and you expect it to be similar to back squat. And it's like 140 pounds less, and you feel like you're tipping over, and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, like, what is this exercise? But I like it too for the reasons that you're saying, because it keeps you upright. And I felt like you could always find a way to cheat a little bit with the back squat, but it's very hard to cheat a front squat.
Yeah, especially for you guys too, because it helps with your thoracic mobility and your shoulder mobility. That it's going to help. You know, you get more bang for the buck, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So if you had a guy who came into the weight room and you wanted to know how strong he was, just raw strength, and you could only ask him to do one exercise, you would want to see his front squat?
Ooh, probably front squat or back squat.
Front squat or back squat?
It's a toss-up. Depends on the day of the week.
Is there something about the squatting movement specifically that makes it a better indicator of raw strength than the deadlift? Because there are a lot of people that would say if you wanted to test a guy's raw strength, number one, squatting, number two. For you, what is it specifically about the movement that makes squatting superior to the deadlift in terms of raw strength?
I don't know if it is superior, to be honest with you. I like it because it's traditionally like it's king of exercises. It's if we have to do only one thing, it's probably going to be the squat. As far as which one's better, I don't think there's a right answer because they both load you differently. You know, I love the deadlift because you get everything backside. You're stabilizing with your upper back, your low back. You're working with your glutes, your hamstrings. You get a ton of grip work. It is an unbelievable exercise. The squat, you are working basically everything from your feet to your neck. And I don't think you'd go wrong with either one. So I don't want to be like, oh yeah, squat's definitely better than deadlift.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to say squat just because I get a little nervous seeing guys with the deadlift, especially first times. If we get somebody in the weight room first time, I've seen guys look really good on a couple of light sets of deadlift, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit of load on there, and they look like a freaking Ninja Turtle versus a squat.
What would you say? They were going to pop their eyes out with someone's vertebrae?
Yeah. I just tell guys if they were rounding their back that if you pop DeMarty's eye out, one of your fucking vertebrae popping out of your back, I want to kick your ass.
Yeah, that's on you for rounding your back.
Yeah.
There's something mental about the squat too that for me isn't there at the deadlift, because I knew if I attempted a deadlift and I didn't pick it up, that there's a very easy way to just drop the bar. It doesn't cause a scene. You pick it up. Sometimes you don't even get it off the ground and it drops. But if you attempt a heavy squat, you're going for 4 or 5 plates and you don't get it up, especially if you don't have a rack underneath, like it's more of a mental thing that there's not a clear place to drop the bar. Like if I don't get this up, not only is it going to look bad, but mentally there's more, it seems like there's more of a tax for not completing a rep of squats than not completing a rep of deadlift. Like there's that extra incentive to not look like a bitch almost, where you're just like, I need to get this squat up because there's going to be, a big boom when it's the floor. There's gonna multiple guys trying to help me get this up. Like you wanna, it's like an extra push to complete the rep with squats.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta have a certain amount of balls to put big weight on your back, where anybody can go yank on a 500-pound bar, and if it's not coming up, it's just not coming up.
What's the most that you've ever squatted?
535 for a double.
535 for a double.
I've tried to put more on for a single and never hit it.
And that was the day your dad called you a soft ass bitch in 7th grade. You hit 535 for a double, and you've been chasing it ever since.
That was about 2 weeks after. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I've never had anything close to that on my back. I think 425 was my highest, and maybe a 365 front squat, 375 front squat. But for people who have never had 500 plus pounds on their back, what does it feel like having that on your shoulders and then trying to move that weight? Because it seems like just watching guys who have done it, and you would a lot of times train during the day when we would come in to make up lifts that we couldn't that we missed for class or something like that. So like I've seen you squat heavy weight, but like what does that actually feel like from an emotional, physical perspective to have that much weight on your back and then move it not once but 2 times?
Probably felt the same as 425 did for you.
Yeah.
I didn't really feel like, it was such a systematic increase, so long to get to that kind of weight that never really thought about it. There were always those milestone lifts, like the first time you hit 405. Just seeing the 4 plates in the bar kind of, gets you kind of psyched out. Sometimes it could be a motivator. Sometimes it can mess you up. But I don't think I'm not impressive enough strength-wise to ever say, like, I've had so much weight on my back, it feels so much different than 315 or 405 or anything like that. You see some of those guys squatting over 1,000 pounds now. Putting that kind of load on your back, those guys would have a much better indication of, hey, heavy weight, this is what it freaking feels like. As far as putting 500 on your back, it feels just like 315 to a 315 squatter, or 405 to a 405 squatter.
Yeah, but like you said, it's all relative. So if you have someone that's squatting 315 and that's their absolute max, and you have someone like Hathor Bjornsson, the mountain, he's squatting 1,030 pounds. It's different weight for sure, and 1,000 pounds is of course much more impressive than squatting 315. But I feel like there is some sort of relative connection between what it feels like physically and just from a gut standpoint, like an emotional standpoint of getting up a weight that you had previously never done. So physically you could see and you could look at the progression and you say, okay, last week I hit this. So if I follow my progression, statistically, I should be able to hit this now. I've been going up on a similar arc for months now. This makes sense. But then there's also that mental aspect of it where you feel it on your back and maybe your legs can handle it. It just like that extra shit of never doing it before. I feel like that connects all max lift of some sort, like doing something you've never done before, going into the unknown of what your body's capable of.
Yeah, that uncharted territory can freak you out a little bit.
Is there something that you do, like a routine physically or mantra you tell yourself before you'd step under the bar to do something like a max lift, like before you lifted 535 2 times? Was there anything extra that you did before that, you know, you wouldn't do for a set of 10 for 225?
Back when I was younger, yes. I mean, I would take a shit ton of pre-workout. I would snap some smelling salts. I would put on the hardest, loudest music I could and get myself psyched out. Now when I'm going for PR, it's usually I'm listening to reggae air country. Just go about it as any other lift and try not to think about anything. I try to clear my head as much as I can and not pay attention to the weight on the bar.
Yeah, so it's interesting because sometimes I feel like when I would try to pump myself up too much, and this could apply to outside of the weight room, whether it's trying to throw a baseball hard or doing a sprint, doing a squat, trying to put myself into a place of being amped up to the max or amped up beyond a point that I've been amped up for. Because sometimes think, okay, I've never done this before, so I need to be in a place I've never done before energetically. And a lot of times I feel like it's almost wasted energy. Like the energy doesn't come back into you. You amp yourself up so much that maybe sometimes it even takes away from it. And then times I could think back to where I was very calm, very peaceful for whatever reason, still on 2.5 scoops of C4, but like maybe I wasn't blasting rap or metal. I was just kind of like in the zone, looking at the bar, had calmer music playing and hit it. I don't know, like for me, obviously it's personal, but I don't know if you've ever felt like you can pump yourself up too much for a lift and then it go against you.
Oh yeah, I did that to myself probably about a year ago. I think I was trying to swap 500 for the first time in a while, and I think I hit 475 like it was nothing right before it, and I was like, oh, this is going up, and I got myself all psyched up and bottomed out, and didn't even move that thing. And I think, there's definitely an optimal arousal level for everybody, and some guys it's a little bit higher than others. Like I said, it's going to be an individual thing. For me, it used to be freaking batshit crazy, and now I'm older, I've calmed down a little bit, so I think my choice of weight room music reflects that.
Yeah. When you were going batshit crazy before a lift, was it because you were at a more batshit crazy point in your life, or was it just because that's what you thought would work at the time? Like that's what would give you the best results? Everyone. Yeah, I feel like the routine sometimes reflects what point you're at in your life, and sometimes if you feel like shit's going off the rails, then maybe your routine reflects that a little bit, and then when you're at a more calm place, you're a more level place, you don't feel the need to make your routine as crazy.
Yeah.
So you've worked with hundreds, even thousands of athletes, I'm sure, at this point, over how many plus years you've been doing it? What was it? 12, 13, 15, something like that?
Gosh, I've been strength conditioning at some level for about 17 years now. 17
years. So you've worked with hundreds of athletes across the board in high school, college, professional. What or who rather the most freak athlete you've ever worked with? So when I think of freak athlete, I think of someone who is strong as shit, but also pretty fast and has a good level of mobility. Like they can literally do everything and it doesn't make sense. Is there someone that sticks out that you've worked with that you would say is the biggest freak athlete you've ever been in the weight room with, you've ever coached?
Yeah, there's a few.
You can name more than one. You can give them shout outs.
Let's see. Cooper Taylor was a pretty freak athlete. He was a little stiff, but he was a freak athlete. Extremely strong, extremely fast, extremely explosive. Max Prokel.
Cooper Taylor was safety.
Yep.
Went on to play safety for the Giants, right?
Yeah. Max Prokel was a pretty freak athlete. I remember him from back in the day at Richmond. He played wide receiver. I think he played safety for a year as well. Kid I coached recently, a couple years ago, Fork Union, Nuke Bradford. He's playing for TCU now. He was an absolute freak, and I think he may have been one of the best players I've ever coached.
I don't think it's possible not to be a freak when your first name is Nuke. I think if you want your son or daughter to have freak skills and freak genetics, it starts with the name. So you give them a name like Nuke, and then out of the womb, they're spending their whole life trying to live up to their name. You plant the insecurity in the womb, and then they have to live up to it. It's a good strategy.
Yeah, I think that was he had a pretty normal first name actually. His nickname was Nuke. But that kid,
what was the actual name?
Oh man, I think it was like Myron or
Steve.
or Marlon. Yeah, Steve.
Steve.
But this kid, I remember we played a game, and in 3 defensive plays, he blocked a punt, returned it for a touchdown. The next defensive play, he had a pick 6, and the next defensive play, he had like a 10-yard TFL.
Damn! But, so literally doing everything.
Yeah.
Back to back plays.
But he was a freak. He ran a low 4.4 for us with turf toe. Squatted almost 500 at probably about a 200-pound body weight. Dude is a beast.
Is there something that connects those guys in the weight room for what they were able to do? If you took genetics out of it, so let's just say, obviously genetics plays a huge role in what you're able to do and achieve in the weight room. But if you put that to the side for a second, is there a mentality or a way these guys approach the weight room, something they did that allowed them to reach that freakish level?
I would say it kind of goes back to that run through a wall mentality. They're going to do anything and everything, whatever it takes. It's almost like a fearless mindset.
So, something that comes up a lot, and I was looking through different fitness forums and strength and conditioning forums to prepare for the pod and just look up questions that people had. Something that came up, this is probably the most often asked question, is how to break through a plateau of some form. And it seemed like most of the guys and girls that were asking this question were already, they were beyond the beginning stage of lifting. They've been lifting for maybe 4 or 5 years, somewhere in there, knew the basics, maybe a little bit beyond that, and we're experiencing a plateau. From your knowledge and your experience, how do you break through a plateau at a basic level? Like, obviously everyone's playing different sports and doing different movements, but is there a certain thing that you will tell athletes or help them do to break through a plateau when they can't seem to get through to the next level?
That's such a loaded question. I think if this were 10 years ago when I thought I knew everything, I'd be able to give you an actual answer. Be like, oh yeah, we do this, and that'll break your plateau. Now it's a little more nuanced than that. Depends on what the issue is. Now, the longer you train, the harder those gains are going to come. You know, I think you remember coming in as a freshman at Richmond, your squat probably went up 70 to 100 pounds that first year.
Oh yeah, first semester, probably like 80 pounds. I think I came in barely squatting 225 and back squatted either 300 or maybe a little bit more just in.
I wish we could do that every semester. You guys would have been squatting.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, this is sick. Like, this is sick. You just got to squat, and every 3 months you'll go up 100 pounds. This is awesome. I'll be squatting 1,000 by my junior year. This is great.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that. The stronger you get, the harder those gains come. So plateau is just a natural process of you getting closer and closer to your peak. And it all depends what that issue is. Some guys, if they plateau, it may be because they're doing everything right in the weight room, but the things outside of the weight room aren't there. They're not sleeping. They're not eating correctly. They're not taking care of themselves. They're partying too much, whatever it may be. They may be stressed out. There's so many things that can go into it. It could be just a simple thing. You're plateauing on your bench press, and it's that second half of the bench, and you just need to get your triceps a little stronger, and all of a sudden you bust through that plateau like it's nothing because you put a little emphasis on a different area. It could be so different for everybody. Something I've done for myself when I seem to plateau on a certain style of lifting, because I've competed in multiple strength disciplines, is I'll switch up my training for a month or so. So if I'm training weightlifting and I start getting stagnant, I'm not seeing any increases, I'm not as motivated to go to the weight room, I might take a month off and do like a 4-month or a 4-week powerlifting program, or 4-week, bodybuilding type template, something like that. Just kind of reset.
So that change in programming, whether it's switching up the workout completely or taking a step back, that allows you to then come back the exercise you're doing previously and push past that? Yeah,
sometimes. It helps you recharge that battery.
Is there, obviously every athlete is different and every person is different trying to break through the plateau depending on the goal that you have. But is there something that comes up most often that you'll see? Like maybe you're not eating enough or you're not taking enough time to recover. Is there something that pops up more often than not, or is it just kind of all over the place?
It depends on the group you're working with. I'd say in college, a lot of times it was sleep. It's easy when you're young to get by on little sleep. And it's something that, looking back on, my early lifting career, I wish I would have paid more attention to that. I was always burning the candle at both ends. I think those younger guys, when they're in their late teens, their early 20s, it's a lot of times it's sleep. It seems after that, a lot of times it'll be nutrition. Sleep can still get you when you get older too. You start having kids and makes sleep a pain in the ass there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so something that I learned through self-experimentation in college is that sleep, if you mix sleep and drinking, for me personally, I felt that if I went out and I drank moderately, like I wasn't blacking out, but I drank, maybe had 5 or 6 drinks the night before, but then I slept for 8 hours, I could usually lift pretty well the next day. Like there wouldn't be a marked significant effect on my lift where someone would think that I was hungover or that went out the night before sick or whatever. If I went out and I had the same 5 or 6 drinks, but I only slept for 4 hours, it's much more obvious. And then when I didn't go out and I slept for 4 hours, it was more obvious. Like I remember I had a week or like a stretch of 2 weeks where I stayed up for probably like a midterm paper studying, whatever. And I slept for probably 3-4 hours before a lift. And I felt worse than when I went out later that week and got 8 hours sleep on a few drinks. And I was like, okay, sleep. I don't know the science behind it, particularly, like especially at the time. I wasn't really reading a lot of things related to sleep, but I realized that if the most important thing, if I could tell myself that I had to do one thing the night before a performance, whether I'm pitching or whether I'm lifting or taking a midterm, whatever it is, like just make sure I sleep 7-8 hours. And if I am going to go out, to go back early enough where I can recover.
Yeah, sleep is almost identical to charging your phone. If you that's just your battery. That's when your body is when it's gonna repair itself, when it's gonna charge your battery for you. So if you're not doing that, it's gonna catch up to you, and a lot of times pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You remember doing the Omega Wave?
The Omega Wave. It sounds familiar. What is the Omega Wave again?
So that was that thing we were putting on your hand and your head. We were measuring your readiness. I think we did it with you and like a couple other guys.
Oh, it show you like red light, green light, yellow, depending on what stage you were in.
Yeah, we had yours fucked up because you weren't paying attention to the hand and the head.
You remember that?
Yeah, I just remembered it a couple minutes ago. I was like, man, that was gross, but that had them mixed up.
Okay. Well, I do remember putting it on and seeing the readings of whether I was ready, red zone, green zone, yellow zone.
Yeah, it was funny because we were mixing them up, we didn't know why your scores were so off. We're like, what the fuck's going on? And then when we figured it out, it made sense to us. But we saw with you guys, if we tested you after, say, a Sunday game, 7 innings, it had almost no impact on your readiness the next day. If we tested you the day after a really heavy freaking squat day, and we went balls to the wall in the weight room, it had almost no impact on your readiness the next day. But when we tested you after 3 hours of sleep because you're studying for a midterm, or we tested you after a night out of drinking, that's when it had a big impact on how ready you were to train.
Yeah, no, I don't remember the readings specifically that I got, but I would, based on my experience, I would definitely say that if you were to test me for a week straight and one night I didn't sleep and I went out, one night I went out and I slept, and one night I went out, or one night I slept and I didn't go out, the not sleeping and going out would be the worst. The sleeping and going out would be second best, and then sleeping and staying in would be third. That would be my guess. And so if that was reflected in the readings, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, we're surprised when we first started doing it how big of an impact, not how big of an impact those things had, but how little impact like playing a game or lifting heavy had on your readiness next day.
There are actually some studies that show that taking a shot of alcohol, whether it's vodka, whiskey, tequila, may actually improve your max lift that you're trying to do. So deadlift, squat. And I was reading a lot of Russians will take a shot of vodka, before they train. I wanted to ask you, is there, whether it's in your own experience or other guys you've lifted with, have you seen any, I don't want to say proof because it doesn't mean it's true just because you saw it or felt like it, but anything you've seen or experienced that would make you not surprised by, taking a shot of alcohol before you lift would actually help you? Other guys you've trained with or trying it yourself, have you experienced any improvement in that aspect?
I think it's lowered inhibitions. It's going to scare you less. So if you're going after something heavy and you take a shot, it's going to ease that discomfort just a little bit. Where you're not going to be afraid to go after it. I think it was Whiskey and Deadlifts, the Kabuki Strength, Chris Duffin, who
Kabuki Strength, yeah.
I remember reading that. We actually, I think we had a bottle of Jack in that back closet in the weight room at Richmond for a little while.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for telling me now. That would have come in handy, the hair of the dog for some lifts. But yeah, I listened to Chris Duffin, Kabuki Strength on the Lex Friedman podcast not too long ago. He was the reason why I went to go read about some of the studies, because he was mentioning that taking a shot of alcohol would have some beneficial effects before you attempted a lift. And I've never done a max lift taking a shot before, but I have done Muay Thai workouts. I started practicing Muay Thai about 2 years ago, like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So if people aren't familiar with it, it's basically kickboxing with elbows and knees, and played around with taking a shot of whiskey before a training session. And I don't have any data to back this up, but I do feel like the lowered inhibitions and it's enough to loosen you up a little bit, but it's not enough to get in the way of your motor function and strength output, at least from what I've felt. And that little boost at the beginning of the session translates to the whole session, even though you obviously don't feel a shot for 60 to 90 minutes. I feel like just starting the session in a relaxed state of mind, 10 minutes in, would allow me to be more loose, possibly apply more power, be more open to training techniques, just like letting my body fly, rather than if I had started that session without taking the shot.
Yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense. When I first read about the whiskey and deadlifts, I thought it was just an excuse to take a few extra shots and at a random part of your day. But it makes a lot of sense. And we didn't try it for long. We had a little bottle back there, took a couple shots just so we could say we did it. But I mean, we never had bad results from it. I kind of liked it myself. Obviously, there's going to be a diminishing effect if you start making it, okay, let's do 6 shots. 1 shot was good. Yeah. Let's do 6 before.
Yeah. three shots. Let me lift 300 pounds, so let me do 5 for 500. Let's see how that works out.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's science.
Oh yeah, it's backed by science. That's the one of the mottos of the Auxoro podcast is that all of my unexpert opinions are backed by science. So if you're listening to this, just know that I've done my own studies in my mind without actually looking at the statistics. I just think about it. Would this work? Would this not work? And that is my peer review process. That actually, it reminds me of a movie called One More Round. I don't know. Have you seen One More Round with Mads Mikkelsen? It's the guy that plays Hannibal in the TV series. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I haven't.
So the whole concept of the movie is that your life will be better in a constant inebriated state. It's this group of guys that are in their 40s and they're kind of fed up, unexcited with life, and they read this psychologist, I forget the guy's name, but he published thoughts, human flourishing being at its peak when you have 0.04 or 0.06 BAC, so 2, 3, 4 drinks, something like that in your system at all times. So they did this experiment where for a month, when they were conscious, they would wake up and then have a breathalyzer on them on a keychain and then be at this constant 0.06 state. And you did see the peaks in performance. These guys were teachers, so they weren't working out. They were tracking their progress in the classroom and their enthusiasm as teachers and the feedback of their students. But then you also did see the inevitable valleys of, all right, I had a great lesson on 3 shots. So what happens if I take 6 or 12? You just keep it going. And the diminishing returns happen very quick. But I do think that mixing it up once in a while and just ripping a shot before you do something, whether it's like a podcast or a lift or whatever. I don't think there's a downside to just trying a shot and seeing what happens, unless you're an alcoholic. But then you've already tried enough shots, so you know what happens. You've competed in strongman, powerlifting, and weightlifting, right? Mm-hmm. All three of those.
Yep.
So could you talk about the differences in each of those disciplines, and if there's a through line training regimen or training principle that could apply to what you were doing as a competitor? So first, I feel like it would be helpful for people listening that may not be familiar with the differences between weightlifting, powerlifting, and strongman, and then we can get into some of your basic training principles for each one.
Yeah, so weightlifting is what you see in the Olympics. That's the snatch and clean and jerk. Powerlifting, what you touched on earlier, how a lot of people think, your basic, how strong are you, squat, bench, deadlift. And then strongman is kind of so many different things combined. A lot of times you're lifting crazy, big, awkward implements. Sometimes it might be more of a, 1 rep that we're measuring absolute strength, or maybe it might be a little bit more endurance based or strength endurance, where you might be hitting something for reps, you might be hitting something for speed. So there's a lot of variation into the strongman.
Yeah, as a spectator, you could tell by looking at me on video if you're watching this, I've never done a strongman competition, but I do enjoy the brutality of it, where it's not conventional lifting exercises you'd see in the gym a lot of times. Like there are the elephant deadlifts and squats, but you also have carrying stones and just fucking like literally picking up a 400-pound stone and having to walk it and putting it on a mat. You have to pull a truck. You're spinning wheels that are thousands of pounds, just having to like lock in and fucking push a wheel as far as you can. The Hercules lift, I was just watching some videos of that where you're literally just like holding up fucking pillars. So yeah, strongman to me is the most exciting to watch as a spectator, but you've said you've done all three.
Yeah, strongman is definitely the most viewer friendly. The other two, if you're not excited about powerlifting or weightlifting, can be pretty freaking boring to watch. Where strongman, I feel like if you're just, flipping through channels and you have an idea of, it could be at least somewhat interesting. It can entertain you for a good half hour, so even if you have no interest in it.
Yeah, I would say I know as a spectator, and even the average person knows, watching someone lift a lot of weight, that's an impressive thing to do. If a guy is deadlifting 1,000 pounds, that is really fucking impressive, and that is something worth watching. But then mixing in the other elements of using objects that you don't traditionally find in a gym, literally look like they're just fucking Vikings picking up tree logs, adds in that extra excitement factor.
Yeah.
Is there one of those disciplines that you enjoyed way more than the others, whether it's weightlifting, powerlifting, strongman, something that was your favorite?
I like training for strongman the best. It's always different. When you're training for weightlifting, you've got the same two goals no matter what. It's increase your snatch, increase your clean and jerk. You don't really have another goal. When it all comes down to it, that's it. And same thing with powerlifting. It's increase your squat, bench, dead. That's all you want to do is increase those 3 lifts. Whereas strongman, you might have a competition where one is a lot of static strength, where it might be a max deadlift and then max axle press overhead, a big tire flip, max stone load, something like that. And then the next one may be a lot more endurance based. And then you got, most of the time, they're everything in between. So every time you train for a strongman competition, your training is going to look completely different.
So if you're looking at a basic program, let's do strongman in particular. If you're looking at a basic program for strongman, before you get into the details of how things are changing from a day-to-day basis, but if you could look at it from the 30,000 foot view of this is what I'll need at a basic level to get competition ready for strongman, are there certain principles that you follow, certain regimens that should apply to anyone's strongman training, whether or not they're competing in 2019 or 2024, like some shit that you should just do and are beneficial to you to get ready for strongman as part of a principle or regimen standpoint?
Well, you're going to have your things that you always train in strongman. You're always going to have some form of a deadlift. So you're going to train your deadlift probably for most guys, I'd say at least once a week. You're going to train you're almost always going to have an overhead press. So you're going to be training a lot of overhead pressing. You'll usually have a carry. So you're going to be training carries, whether it's farmer's handles, sandbag, kegs, stones, something like that. You're going to have some kind of a carry. Grip's important, so that's going to be worked in a lot. I'm probably forgetting a couple of the events. It's been a while since I've competed in a strongman. Yeah. You're going to have those handful of things that you always train.
Yeah, it's for whatever reason, I enjoy watching the gripped based with the carries more than the other ones. I don't know, just because it's I know what it's like to do that at such a small level where I'm doing farmer carries with 100 pounds, maybe 120 pounds in each hand. And to see these guys doing it with 3, 4, 5, 6 times the weight and being able to move it. And it's also a functional movement too. I've always enjoyed watching those guys do the grip based events.
Yeah, I like it too. And I think there's a big mental aspect of it too, because your brain is usually going to quit before your grip does.
Yeah, like I mentioned the Hercules lift before. They're literally putting 2 pillars on an angle from each other. So you have to stand in a T holding each pillar, and you have the clock in front of you, the announcer saying it out loud. And I'm wondering from just an audience standpoint, how much of this guy's forearm is about to tear, his muscles actually failing, and how much of this at the extreme endpoints is him just letting go. Because in most of the other lifts, if you can't get something up, it's like it's a big movement. Like if you can't pick a stone up, or if you drop it midway, there's a huge thing that happens, but the opening up of your fingers ends that entire movement. Like you standing like this, and then like all of a sudden your fingers let up a little bit, and then the entire thing just slips. So the mental aspect to me is fascinating for sure.
Yeah, those have always been some of my favorite events too. I think one of my favorite strongman moments. Do you remember Phil Pfister?
I would probably know his face if I saw it, because I watched a bunch of strongman highlights to prep for the podcast, but if he's been in strongman for a while, I've definitely seen his face.
Yeah, so he was a strongman back, I think, like late 90s, early 2000s. He was the first American to win it, probably 20 years or so since, I think, Kazmaier. And he had a moment doing the Hercules hold where he started yelling out, "I will be the strongest man. I will be America's next strongest man." Yeah, that was awesome. And I think a year or 2 later, he won the whole thing.
Yeah, like the mental aspect of talking to yourself, and you have to wonder how much of that is for the audience and how much of that is for himself. Like he's telling himself, "I will be the strongest man," and if he doesn't follow it up, then yeah, sure, he's gonna. The audience may be disappointed, but the bigger factor is that he'll be disappointed in himself. Do you ever talk to yourself during lifts? Shout out loud, say anything, I'm gonna fuck this bar.
No, I usually don't tell a bar that I'm gonna fuck it.
You should try it. It's a good time.
I will on Tuesday, but every now and then I don't talk to myself too much. Sometimes if I'm doing the same mistake over and over again, so if I'm doing cleans and I'm not finishing my pull or something, I'll say it to myself a couple times before I hit it. Or if I'm just being a freaking pussy, I'll be like, "Stop being a bitch, stop being a bitch." Yeah. But I don't think I do a whole lot of talking to myself. I was going over a recent study from ECU, not the ECU in America, but Edith Cowan University in Australia. And this particular study showed that 3 seconds of intense weight training may be enough to increase strength per day. So 3 seconds of resistance per day. And in this study, they did different variations of bicep curls. So eccentric, concentric, and then isometric. And so I'll just say it for the audience because they may not be familiar with it, but the movement that scored the highest in terms of increasing strength was the eccentric bicep curl. So basically holding it from the top position and then letting it go down. But all 3 of them showed increases in strength for just 3 seconds of movement per day. So I wanted to ask you, if you could only do 3 seconds of resistance per day to build strength, what movement would you choose? If someone put gun to your head, like all you have for the rest of your life is, 3 seconds of a lift, what would you choose in that moment? Do you remember that? We used to call it the ISO test boost that we did with you guys.
Pulling the bar against the rack.
That's what I would do.
That definitely fires you up for sure. Physically and mentally, you get the fucking charge running through your system when you're just pulling against that shit for 3 seconds.
Yeah, you could go as hard as you possibly can.
Yeah.
It's gonna, you're getting damn near every muscle group in your body. You're gonna get an adrenaline jump. Can't talk. An adrenaline dump.
Adrenaline drunk.
Yeah, going to boost your testosterone, which is what we used to holler at you guys while we were doing it. So make your balls bigger. So yeah, we're going with the ISO test boost there.
For people who have not experienced the ISO test boost, how would you describe it for people just listening? What does that look like?
So you're going to get a rack and set the safety catches, usually right about anywhere from right below the knee to mid-thigh, anywhere in that area. And you're going to get the barbell underneath there and pull against those safety catches as hard as you can. Obviously, the rack has to be stable, has to be in place or bolted down, because if it's not, you might flip that thing. But yeah, you're just pulling in that thing, pulling into an immovable object as hard as you possibly can.
What makes a soft ass bitch in the weight room? When you describe someone as a soft ass bitch, whether you're talking to yourself or you're talking to someone else, what makes that person a soft ass bitch?
I'd say not willing to get out of your comfort zone. That is the room that comfort is out the window.
So it's not necessarily a strength thing. It's more of a mental thing of willing to break through a place that you've never been before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Strength is, for the most part, unimportant when it comes to being a soft ass bitch. It's your willingness to work and to push yourself to new.
So I was reading an article in the New York Times called The Zen of Weight Lifting, and it's all about the mental aspect of lifting weights. And a lot of people during COVID, if they didn't have home gyms, they were getting away from lifting, heavy lifting, just all types of lifting. This article was about the mental side of lifting, so I wanted to read an excerpt from it and get your thoughts. So again, it's called The Zen of Weight Lifting, article in the New York Times, and it reads, "In the weight room, it's just you and the bar. You either make the lift or you don't. If you make it, great. If not, you train more and try again. Some days it goes well, and other days it doesn't. But over time, it becomes clear that the way you get out of yourself is proportionate to the effort you put in. It's as simple and as hard as that. A kind of straightforwardness and self-reliance that gives rise to an immense satisfaction, a satiating feeling that makes it easier to fall asleep at night because you know you did something real and something concrete in the world." Does that resonate to you in any way? Like lifting, bringing you in the weight room, getting a zen feeling from lifting heavy shit?
Yeah, absolutely. When you first said it was, what was it called? The Zen weightlifter?
The Zen of weightlifting, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know where that was going to go, and I was like, I'm probably not going to like this. But no, that hit the nail on the head. I love it because it's the same for everybody. 45 pounds is 45 pounds. It's going to be the same. But the weight room does not change. The weights don't change. And you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And that's the main thing I love about it.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive to do something very aggressive and heavy to bring yourself to a better place of mental clarity. Like if an alien came down to Earth and you were able to communicate and he asked you, what do you do to feel better? And you said, I fucking blast music and I put plates on this bar and I just fucking pick it up and put it down and I grunt as loud as I fucking can sometimes. And it looks terrifying and violent, but it makes me feel better. It brings me peace. It doesn't make sense when you think about it, but it does from like an internal place. The times, and I never got away fully from weightlifting. My weightlifting has ebbed and flowed just according to my goals and what I have, whether it's at home or in another gym. Just doing something hard and heavy makes you feel better. And I don't know exactly why it is. I mean, people have like the mantra of, lift heavy shit. It does. And I feel like sometimes it scares people from starting to lift weights because it seems very aggressive and sometimes over the top, but it does bring a lot of internal clarity.
Yeah, definitely. I think that alien, if we described it like that, would probably go on to the next planet searching for intelligent life because he found none here.
I was gonna have an alien on the podcast, and he said that he was gonna come on the podcast, but he saw a guy with a very large, stout man with a beard eating a burrito that squatted 535 pounds 2 times, and then he immediately left the planet and said, "Holy shit, I don't know if I can handle this." Something I wanted to get into, just from not necessarily a scientific standpoint, but just from a philosophical standpoint, is steroids and sports. Steroids obviously are an aid to boost your strength and boost your performance. And some of the greatest sports records of all time have been accomplished by guys who are on steroids, like Barry Bonds, home run record, Lance Armstrong, Tour de France. Hafthor Bjornsson, the mountain, has said that he takes steroids. And I wanted to know, from a philosophical standpoint, what are your thoughts on the subject of steroids and their role of boosting strength and endurance?
I've got mixed emotions on it. There's a part of me that says, man, let's let them take what they want, and let's see how far we can push this thing, because we love to see, incredible feats, and steroids are going to help with that. And so many guys have accomplished these incredible feats on steroids with people not knowing, and it's going to be very hard for a guy to naturally accomplish some of these things now. At the same time, for myself, being a strength athlete, I've never taken them, and it was something I always prided myself in going into a competition, especially strongman. I think there were quite a few guys that I would compete against. I was usually one of the smaller guys in the 231 weight class. I'd usually go in weighing about 215, and there were some dudes that were pretty obviously juicing. And I always took pride.
Do they test you? Do they test you or no in strongman?
Amateur strongman, they do not.
So you can pretty much get away with anything.
Yeah. And I always took a lot of pride competing naturally against those guys, and still hold my own, and sometimes winning. And same thing, weightlifting, powerlifting, they test a lot more with that. I don't ever recall anybody, any of my competitors like, oh, this guy's on the shit. But I always took pride in seeing how far I could get without taking.
Yeah, it's a weird conversation with steroids, because similar to baseball, some people are stuck in tradition and they're not even willing to have a conversation about it. Like, what would the sport of baseball look like if steroids were legal, if athletes had access to it and were getting tested by doctors and doing it obviously there's risk, but doing it in a safer way. And so there are people that are willing to explore that as an option, and there are people who are not even willing to ask the question, what would happen if we open that door? And yeah, it's because steroids are a tool. That's why people take them across sports, whether it's to gain more endurance, like you're doing cycling, you're doing something like EPO, you're taking different types of steroids to get more quick twitch strength to hit home runs, or more of a combination if you're in UFC. But it is a tool to make you perform better, or else people wouldn't risk their profession and their livelihood to take it if it didn't work. And then you have the question, okay, people are going to take this regardless. Banning steroids in sports is basically a dance between the chemist and the regulatory organization. So a regulatory organization will discover a steroid, and then that steroid will be banned, and then chemists will then say, okay, how can I alter this slightly to give the same effect? It won't be detected. And so my opinion has changed on this over the years, from early on in high school, saying, taking morality out of it, like the cheating part out of it, just looking at steroids as a tool in sports. At the beginning, I never thought I'd be okay watching a sport that had steroids introduced to it, where you were allowed to do it. But then I started to realize that so many of these guys are doing it anyway. And if guys are going to do it, you may as well regulate it to the point where you can make it safer for the athletes. I think it would be safer for the athletes if steroids were made legal and regulated, because then you wouldn't be tested for, do you have steroids in your system? It would be, okay, are you taking steroids? Yes. Okay, let's test your levels and get a baseline and see how this affects you, rather than you hiding it and not coming to a doctor when you have a problem, because you might also pop for something illegal. So that's been kind of the progression of my views over the years.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome if they regulated it in that way, because guys would be able to take them in a safe manner. You're still going to get the incredible feats on the field that you probably aren't going to get naturally, and it could in fact save lives. But at the same time, you're still going to have guys cheating. You're still going to have guys looking for that extra edge, whether it's they might be taking steroids, but then they've got an untraceable steroid that they're also taking just to get that advantage because they think they need it. So I don't think there's a solution, to be honest with you. I think there's always going to be those guys looking for that unfair advantage, that competitive edge, especially when money's on the line.
Yeah, no, and it's like I haven't been at the professional level of sports, so I haven't been in a place where I've received a paycheck for my sports performance, but I have a lot of friends that went on to play pro baseball and other sports. And when you're making money for a living and your paycheck is influenced by your performance, people are going to take risks that they normally otherwise wouldn't take. And so to me, the question becomes, okay, people are going to take these risks. How can we make the environment the most safe and fair for the athlete? And so obviously, if steroids become legal, the athletes that are making more money will be able to better drugs and have more doctor oversight and things like that. But I think that ultimately, if you opened up the door, and you don't have to make everything legal right off the bat, but you can make certain distinctions for certain sports, make some things legal, and then have certain requirements for testing and checking blood levels, health, things like that. I think ultimately it would make sports, at least baseball, from what I've seen, safer and fairer. You know, anyone who's played college baseball in the past 10 years, whether it's playing at school or playing summer baseball, like, you know, there are guys that are taking shit that have zero oversight. They're just, you know, they're buying it online from China and they're fucking just popping pills and they're gaining 5 miles an hour, but they don't know what it's doing to their body. If you made things legal and made it more approachable and you regulated it rather than just ban it, I think it would ultimately make things more safe and fair.
Yeah, I think you got a good point on that.
So I wanted to give you a chance to talk about Big BOE strength and what is Big BOE, first of all, so people can check it out, and why did you decide on the name Big BOE? What does it stand for? BIGBOE.
So it's actually Big Boy. And
Big Boy, okay. My apologies. I'm just there's so much strength going back and forth. It was messing with my brain.
I gotcha. So
Big Boy.
It kind of came at a time when have you ever met Jesse? I think he may have. I don't know if he was ever at Richmond while you were there.
I don't think so. Unless he's popped into the weight room once in a while, but I can't remember the name.
Yeah, so he interned for us a couple times. Back in I think 2012, and then again in 2013, but it's summertime. So he missed you guys. But anyway, him and I were kind of talking. We were conference down in East Carolina. We were talking about all kind of bullshit that we were going through at the college level. At this time, the football staff that I'd been working for at Richmond, they all went up to Delaware, and I went after the head job at Richmond, and the head guy, the head football coach, brought in his guy from Chattanooga with him. And I was like, man, I don't want to wait another 9 years for this opportunity. So we were talking about different avenues of strength and conditioning. And on our way back, we're like, man, wouldn't it be cool to have like a lifting gear company where we make lifting gear and we go around to these different clinics and stuff like that and sell it. And that's kind of where it started. I had a joke of starting a gym and call it BIG, just best in girth, and have it be like a strongman gym. And that's where the BIG came from. So the Big BOE stands for best in girth, best on earth. And yeah, the boy just came to us a little bit later on. I think I'm on my way home or way to work one day. I was like, Big BOE, best in girth, best on earth. So that's where the name came from. We started off, we were going to do lifting gear. My wife, she works for a casing company called TKL. She's like the director of operations there. And she's got a lot of manufacturing connections. And we're like, all right, let's try to do this thing. We're going to start off with the wrist wraps and go from there. The wrist strap thing, we wanted to keep everything in America, and the price was about 10 times higher.
To build it in America? Yeah.
Yeah, it was about 10 times higher, if not more, to do it here than to go overseas and try to get it made in China. And so we went with the Chinese manufacturer first, and the first samples they sent us were pretty good, but we had a couple things we wanted to change, and the next ones were horrible quality. So we're like, okay, we got to change this and this, and then the next ones were great quality. We're like, all right, this is perfect. Just change the color. And the next samples were horrible quality again. And we're like, you know what, we can't do this shit. You know, we can't go with a company that we can't trust good quality every single time, because that was going to be our main thing, was making everything as high quality as possible. So we kind of shift gears. We've got no idea what we're doing business wise. We're just two strength coaches. And, so we switched over from doing the gear to just doing programming. Jesse just got out a couple months ago. Him and his wife just had a baby about a year ago, and they moved up to Pennsylvania. So he's out, at least for the time being. So it's a one-man show, but yeah, we've narrowed it down. Instead of Big Boy being lifting gear and t-shirts and programming, a little bit of programming, which is what kind of envisioned at first. It's now just an online programming. So a way to help people out. For me, it's a way to stay in weightlifting and powerlifting when I don't actually have like a weightlifting and powerlifting team. So I get to program for that and still have fun, at least staying around those sports.
And you do it remote and in person?
So right now everything is remote. I wouldn't mind at some point starting like a weightlifting club or a powerlifting club and having like a little home gym area where we set up and we have it go 6 nights a week. You show up in between 5 and 7, we train, something like that. But I think that's a future idea for when my kids are a little bit older and, you know, when they get to that point where they don't want to be around daddy anymore, then that'll be better. Okay, cool.
When they get old enough for you to call them a soft ass bitch.
Yeah. Then we'll get the crew out there. Yeah,
and you're like, you don't want to be a soft ass bitch anymore. Here's my program. This is how much it is per month. But yeah, no, I wanted that was a great overview of Big Boy Strength, and it's bigboystrength.net, BIGBOE strength.net, correct?
Yep.
Could you give an overview of what a client could expect from the first 1 to 3 month standpoint? So maybe someone who has a little bit of experience in strength training but is looking to up their game. What can they expect in those early months?
Well, the programs we've made tried and true. They're all things that have been shown to work, and that's something I love doing. I put a lot of time into writing a program. A lot of people think, you just write a program, probably takes you 20 minutes. I'll sit there for hours sitting there looking at a blank sheet of paper while I'm thinking everything out. So I put a lot of thought and time into those. So they're going to get a well thought out program. And I tell everybody that purchases a program with us, we've got a few that are set programs, like our tree trunk legs and our trucker arms, that you just purchase a program and the Excel sheet or PDF or whatever just gets emailed to you. Most of them are personalized programs where I tell everybody, hey, if you try this for a couple of weeks and there's things you don't like, I would much rather you give me a call, shoot me an email and say, hey, I fucking hate this. Can we change this? And I'll rewrite the whole freaking thing. I would much rather have much rather rewrite a whole program, help somebody out and have them be satisfied than then struggle through it for 2-3 weeks and be like, this freaking sucks, and quit and not get anything out of it. So, we're definitely willing to modify anything we need to. I try to reach out to all of my clients each week. Hey, how'd the program go this week? You need any changes? How's next week looking for you? Some different things like that. So the guys, we can modify what needs to be. Usually the program's written out, 12 weeks out. So things can change. We might need to modify. And then, every program will get better. So if you buy the first one, that first one, I may not know a thing about you. So the program's going to be a lot more generic. And then as we get used to, hey, this really works well for this guy, this really doesn't, the programs just get better and better and better.
So it's you have the preset programs, but it's also personalized for each person in particular.
Yeah, so we've got the option for both. We've got a handful that, hey, we just wrote up one. There's a 12-week, you want to get your freaking legs bigger, like this should get your legs bigger. Go ahead and do this. And they're a little bit cheaper. I think that was like $20, $25, something like that. But those personalized ones, we'll send out a questionnaire. We're in constant contact with those clients to make sure that they're getting the most out of it. So hopefully keep them motivated as well. So I want to make sure that, hey, I haven't done this program for a week and I just got a text from Jeff that, shit, now I better get back on it next week.
Yeah, personalized text. That's a huge part of any program, is firing off those messages to keep people motivated, being like, hey, stop being a bitch.
That will be the next one. I'll send that out in a few to the guys I haven't reached out to yet.
Yeah, there you go. So speaking of programs, you've dedicated a huge portion of your life to teaching others to get strong, and you were often training multiple teams at a time at the same time in baseball, football, lacrosse, other sports. And I wanted to know, as someone who was only playing baseball at Richmond, I couldn't see what was going on behind the scenes. What are the hardest parts about teaching strength across so many disciplines and across so many sports the individual athlete doesn't see?
For the most part, I don't think it's that difficult. Most sports, especially at smaller D1 level, don't need a whole lot of different things. So getting stronger for the most part is fairly simple. Baseball, we did a few special things. We always made sure your push to pull ratio, we were making sure that you guys were doing anywhere from 2 to 4 times as much pulling as you were pushing to keep your shoulders pulled back, because you're constantly throwing a ball. You're constantly getting those muscles in the front, stronger and tighter, while the muscles in the back are getting loose. So we try to balance that out as much as you can to increase shoulder health, make sure that our rotational athletes, we're always doing hip mobility, core stability, T-spine mobility to ensure that you guys are as torqued as possible, so you guys can be explosive in those rotational patterns. But for the most part, it's not. I didn't think it was that difficult, at least in the weight room, where it really varied. Besides a few of those special things like the ratios and doing some rotational stuff, was more or less your conditioning. Football conditioning, from baseball conditioning to lacrosse conditioning to soccer and field hockey, those conditioning running patterns and things like that we'd work on were quite a bit different.
What's your view on training to failure and the no pain, no gain? Because I often see people that are pretty hardcore on both sides of it, where if you're not training to failure, at least with some points of your workout program, you're not getting the benefits. And then other people say you should never train to failure. It should feel good in some way, but you should never get to the point where you're absolutely just not able to complete a rep. What is your view on the no pain, no gain training to failure side of things?
Well, training to failure, there's data out there that suggests that both work. Whether it's training to failure or whether it's leaving 1 or 2 in the tank, they're both going to get you results. So I don't think it's necessary. I like to do it from time to time with athletes. Training to failure, for me, is more or less getting them out of their comfort zone. The no pain, no gain, I think that's got a bad rap the last few years. A lot of people look at that as like an old school mentality, but I think it's fucking true. It's 100% true, but I don't look at it as you're going to train through injury and train past the point that you're capable of. I look at no pain, no gain as getting out of your comfort zone. As you're not going to get better unless you put yourself in a place that you haven't been before. So that's the way I look at no pain, no gain. So I kind of hate the bad rap that it's gotten the last few years, how they think it's an old school thing, where I think it's 100% true to an extent. You can get pretty stupid with training through some shit, but it's a necessary evil to train to a point that, your body is going to adapt, or you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Well, you recently broke your foot, right? You've been training through a broken foot? Yeah.
My dumbass caught 3 toes on a boat dock, and I dislocated those 3 toes and broke the metatarsals right below them.
So how are you dealing with that from a training standpoint? Like, obviously, if you do something like squatting, that's gonna fucking hurt a shit ton. You might not even be able to do that. But in terms of pain management through an injury like a broken bone, broken toe, how are you managing that to progress alongside an injury?
I did a lot of upper body training. I had surgery on my foot, and I broke it September 4th. I think I had surgery on September 20th. So I did almost no lower body besides like little rehab type of exercises up until about December. I started putting a bar on my back again, doing like some half-filled squats so I could, hold on and sit back so I'm not loading the front of my foot too much. So I just switched gears. I went a ton of freaking upper body. I was doing them. It's like, well, shit, I guess it's time to chase the bench press and switch gears to that point. Now I'm back on the platform a little bit. Started in January, full go, training for weightlifting, trying to qualify again for Old Man Nationals.
So yeah, to go back to the no pain, no gain, I feel like people sometimes confuse the no pain, no gain with training through injury. And obviously, training through injuries is not a good thing, but there is a difference between experiencing pain during a lift and experiencing discomfort during a lift and being willing to push through it for 1 or 2 more reps can be very beneficial. And feeling a certain type of pain where you normally wouldn't feel that pain. It's not because you're pushing through it. It's because there's something structurally wrong. And the way that I'm thinking about it right now, just popping into my head, one of the biggest no pain, no gain situations that you can find yourself in, squatting for reps with a manageable weight and then pushing through extra 1 or 2 reps where your thighs are fucking filling with blood, screaming for you to stop, and you can physically lift up the weight, but your mind is feeling an intense amount of pain and discomfort in your thighs. That is a place to me where you should absolutely try to push through that. And as long as you have the proper technique and spotters, there's really there's not a lot of risk for you trying to do an extra 1 or 2 reps. Where something like an injury would happen is if, you put 135 on the bar and you do your first 2 reps and like something feels off in your hip and you're like, well, this is like a shooting pain in my hip. Should I push through this to be heavier? That's something where, in my experience, at least, I would say, probably good to not do it if it's happening at that low of a weight. But if you're just like, I'm doing 225 for reps right now, I can do this for 10, I'm trying to do this for 12, that's somewhere where it would be very beneficial to push through and try to get that extra burst.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to kind of know your limits and what kind of pain to look for. Obviously, there's going to be discomfort when you're in the weight room, when you're training. If you're conditioning, there's going to be discomfort. It shouldn't be like a real pain. You shouldn't feel a sharp pain in your shoulder, anything like that. You got to know the difference. And I'd say most guys do. And as long as you're not pushing into those, actual injuries, pushing past those, pushing out of your comfort zone into those areas of, your mind wants to quit, but your body can keep going. A lot of times how we become better.
What are some of the unsexiest exercises that are important to building strength but don't get enough love?
Oh gosh, I would say all those small muscle groups that you don't see. They're boring to do. They're boring to coach. They're usually the first things guys will skip. Those are the things that are probably the unsexiest things that are important to do. Those are some of those things that I need to remind myself of all the time. Such as training your rotator cuff. If you're getting all those big muscles in your shoulders strong, you need to get those to come around with it too, or your shoulder's not going to function the way it should. If you're doing a ton of quad and hamstring work, but you're not doing any kind of adduction, abduction, you're gonna set yourself up for failure sooner or later.
Yeah, I would say the most bang for your buck exercise. Some people think it's unsexy. I think it's a pretty sexy exercise. The one that people don't do the most is farmer's walks. I remind myself of this too because it's such a hassle sometimes to make room for it in the gym, or just even if you're just standing with the weights and not really walking. But I feel like farmer's walks is something that translates shoulders, back, legs, forearm strength. There's 30 different things that can aid in your in one single movement. Just and for people who haven't done farmers walks, you're picking up dumbbells, heavy dumbbells, and trying to walk with them for as far as you can, or maybe even a trap bar deadlift, a deadlift bar that goes around you. You pick it up and walk with it. Just picking up heavy shit, I feel like is not very popular. It's not very sexy. It's something for me that I've felt translates to other things, something we did at Richmond all the time. And it's just like it's not a very violent thing once you pick it up. It's not like you're deadlifting 600 pounds where you have, your face is red, like maybe you have a fucking bloody nose, the bar is bending. Like once you pick it up, there's not a lot going on besides walking, but it's actually a very powerful exercise.
Yeah. I love those loader carries. I think in our field, a lot of the loader carries has gotten a ton of love the last few years, last 5-10 years. So I didn't really think of that one. I would guess though in most gyms that those loaded carries are probably probably not the most popular things. You guys kicked ass at those farmers walks. I always thought it was funny when some of the football guys would come in and see you guys always doing, the smallest guys would be doing at least 100 pounds, and these guys are like, what the fuck? They'd be double your size, and they're carrying 80s.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I guess maybe throwing a baseball with the extra forearm muscles, or we're constantly working on our shoulders. If we weren't lifting in the weight room, we're doing some sort of band shoulder exercise. I don't know if that translated, but I feel like baseball and grip strength always went pretty hand in hand, whether it's pitchers throwing or hitters gripping the bat. There's probably like so many fucking reps that you're doing every day that you kind of just mindlessly do it, and then it translates into something like a farmer's walk, and then the farmer's walk translates back into hitting and pitching. I wanted to ask you a few quick fire questions as we end off, but before we do that, this one will be this is a more personal question coming from me. You coached me in the weight room for 5 years at Richmond as a baseball player. What is your honest opinion of me in the weight room? 1 being a soft ass bitch, and 10 breaking multiple records, like an Adam Ford type person putting up like 500-pound squat and 400-pound bench. Like what would you say is your honest opinion of me in the weight room? 1 soft ass bitch, 10 breaking multiple records. Really?
Yeah. From what I remember,
Like-
you worked your ass off. Obviously, your last couple of years, a little injury ridden. Sorry about that. I must have done a pretty shitty job. But
No. I mean, I don't know if you remember the exact injury, but I had 2 ulnar nerve transpositions, and even the doctors that I was seeing weren't very sure of the nature of the injury because, like, you know, nerves don't heal in the same way as muscles do. It's very abstract. It's an irregular pattern of healing. It's not always linear. And I could have been born with my nerve out of place, or it could have just gotten locked into place throwing a baseball. I didn't get a lot of information about the origin of the injury, but essentially what happened is my nerve got pinned up against my elbow from something, and then every time I would throw a baseball, it would rub against my elbow bone, and that was like the shock I was feeling in my elbow when I was throwing. So I wouldn't say I could link it to lifting or throwing or anything in particular. It might have just been something unlucky that the way my nerve is set up in my body, it was, only a matter of time until it came out of the cubital tunnel that your nerve sits in. But I don't know. But an 8 out of 10, I'll take that all day. So, why the burrito? I wanted to ask you a very deep and meaningful life questions as we end off. So, why the burrito? What makes the burrito a perfect vessel for nutrients?
Well,
that's a mainstay on Big Boy Strength.
Well, the tortilla is the perfect vessel for any food. If you do it right, you get the perfect blend of carbs, antioxidants, and proteins when you make a good burrito.
So it's really like a multivitamin.
It really is. It's just like a big, delicious pill.
And you take it twice a day.
It depends on your goals. So what are your goals right now, Zach?
So my goals right now, I'm thinking very activity-based long term. So the most exciting things that I like to do, like snowboarding, hiking, Muay Thai, I want to be able to do those for as long as possible. Like I hope I die at 95 years old and I go snowboarding like the week before that. That would be my ideal life. So I'm doing a lot of, I could actually probably see it if I turn it around. So I got my gym right there with dumbbells, kettlebells, a little bag. To the left, you'll see some of those L bars, the 2 yellow L bars, dips, and I got my pull-up bar in my room. So I'm doing a lot of kettlebells at the moment. I'm doing a lot of lifting weights in the 8 to 12 rep range. So something that I could do general full body, like benching, lunges, squatting, a lot of full body workouts in that 8 to 12 rep range. And then I'm also doing Muay Thai twice a week, and I do mace flow, which if you, I don't know if you've done mace, but it's like a lot of swinging motions, core stability. And I have a 10-pound mace and a 25-pound mace. So it's the mace essentially lets you know when you swing it how stable your core is, because if you're not being stable in your core, it pulls your shoulders. So it's like an instant response thing. So that's what I've been doing. A lot of weightlifting, a lot of kettlebells in particular, a lot of body weight, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, and then I have the Muay Thai and the mace.
Yeah. So what are you looking to do body weight wise? Stay the same, go up, go down?
I I try to increase the reps with each workout, and then I also have a vest that has the interchangeable like 2.5 pound sand things that goes in it. So I'll either try to go up each workout in reps, or I'll try to the same amount of reps, but maybe add like another 2.5 pounds.
Gotcha. What about your body weight? Are you trying to get
like my actual weight?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So right now I fluctuate between 175 and 180. I don't have a lot of goals, my body weight in particular. Like, unless I looked myself in the mirror and thought I was getting either too thin or too fat, like as long as I was within, like 175 to like 195 pound range and I looked good, and I was feeling good, like I didn't feel sluggish or anything, or I didn't feel weak, then to me, the body weight is almost secondary to the things that I'm doing right now, which is not the case for performance and for baseball. I wanted to be higher than that for my height. I was around like 190, 195 when I was playing baseball, and that was making me a better performer. But right now, I'm sticking to more the activities and the type of workout, and then my weight is what it is, unless I look myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh wow, I look super thin, or I'm getting super fat for some reason, like beyond a certain point.
Gotcha. So it sounds like maintenance. So
yeah,
I would say, what are you doing at 3:30 today?
3:30 today. I'm going to be on a train to New Haven, Connecticut. So
before you get on that train, you're going to need to score a burrito.
Can you score a burrito?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Take it with you at 3:30. Consume said burrito.
I do have tortillas. I do have black beans. I just got a box of Butcher Box meat, which I'm not sponsored by, but they need to. They're going to be sponsoring this podcast at some point. I get my shipment every month, and I just got it, so I have fresh ingredients ready to go for a burrito.
You're set. At 3:30 a.m. No burrito. Sleep.
And that is the type of instruction that you get from Big Boy Strength. That's just a little bit of a taste.
This is our nutritional consulting right here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm getting this for free. I'm going to have to Venmo you after the session. But yeah, I will. I literally do have tortillas on the counter, so I need something to bring to the train. So I'm going to make a burrito before I go.
There you go.
You've inspired me. One of the most popular questions on Reddit, which I wanted to end off on, is how does one gain confidence in the gym when you are the one lifting the least weight? There are a lot of people that upvoted this one, and they wanted to know, if I'm being, if I think I'm a soft ass bitch, if I'm not putting up a lot of weight, but I'm in a place where a lot of people are, how do you gain confidence before the strength comes? So like the confidence to walk into the gym and do the shit before the results, to just like be able to be in the same space with guys who are doing impressive lifts.
Stick with us with what you need to do. The confidence will come, the weight will come. I would say 99% of people in the weight room are not going to freaking make fun of somebody because they can't do a certain amount of weight. You might have the occasional asshole that might snicker or say something, but most of us have a ton of respect for anybody that's going to come into a weight room and put themselves out there and try to get better. So if you don't have the confidence to go in there and you're trying to push weight with some bigger, stronger guys, just stay with it. The confidence will come, the weight will come.
Burritos and confidence are a great way to end off a podcast. I had a fucking blast, Jeff. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's been a great time catching up, and I want to give you one more chance to plug Instagram, website, anything you want people to go check out after listening to this podcast. I'm also going to link it in the description on YouTube and Spotify, Apple, wherever people are listening to this, so they can go check it out at any time.
Yeah. See, for Big Boy Strength, it's bigboystrength.net. The Instagram is, I think, at Big Boy Strength. Same thing with Twitter. I think same thing with Facebook. As far as personal stuff, I don't do any social media. If it wasn't for Big Boy, I'd be off all that shit. So, personally, anybody can reach me on jeff.appel@hotmail.com or bigboystrength@gmail.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff. I'll talk to you soon. Core stability, and I have a 10-pound mace and a 25-pound mace. So it's like the mace essentially lets you know when you swing it how stable your core is, because if you're not being stable in your core, it pulls your shoulders. So it's like an instant instant response thing. So that's what I've been doing. A lot of weightlifting, a lot of kettlebells in particular, a lot of body weight, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, and then I have the Muay Thai and the mace.
Yeah. So what are you looking to do body weight wise? Stay the same, go up, go down?
I have I try to increase the reps with each workout, and then I also have a vest that has the interchangeable like 2.5 pound sand things that goes in it. So I'll either try to go up each workout in reps, or I'll try to the same amount of reps, but maybe add like another 2.5 pounds.
Gotcha. What about your body weight? Are you trying to get
like my actual weight?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So right now I fluctuate between 175 and 180. I don't have a lot of goals, my body weight in particular. Like, unless I looked myself in the mirror and thought I was getting either too thin or too fat, like as long as I was within, like 175 to like 195 pound range and I looked good, and I was feeling good, like I didn't feel sluggish or anything, or I didn't feel weak, then to me, the body weight is almost secondary to the things that I'm doing right now, which is not the case for performance and for baseball. I wanted to be higher than that for my height. I was around like 190, 195 when I was playing baseball, and that was making me a better performer. But right now, I'm sticking to more the activities and the type of workout, and then my weight is what it is, unless I look myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh wow, I look super thin, or I'm getting super fat for some reason, like beyond a certain point.
Gotcha. So it sounds like maintenance. So
yeah,
I would say, what are you doing at 3:30 today?
3:30 today. I'm going to be on a train to New Haven, Connecticut. So
before you get on that train, you're going to need to score a burrito.
Can you score a burrito?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Take it with you at 3:30. Consume said burrito.
I do have tortillas. I do have black beans. I just got a box of Butcher Box meat, which I'm not sponsored by, but they need to. They're going to be sponsoring this podcast at some point. I get my shipment every month, and I just got it, so I have fresh ingredients ready to go for a burrito.
You're set. At 3:30 a.m. No burrito. Sleep.
And that is the type of instruction that you get from Big Boy Strength. That's just a little bit of a taste.
This is our nutritional consulting right here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm getting this for free. I'm going to have to Venmo you after the session. But yeah, I will. I literally do have tortillas on the counter, so I need something to bring to the train. So I'm going to make a burrito before I go.
There you go.
You've inspired me. One of the most popular questions on Reddit, which I wanted to end off on, is how does one gain confidence in the gym when you are the one lifting the least weight? There are a lot of people that upvoted this one, and they wanted to know, if I'm being, if I think I'm a soft ass bitch, if I'm not putting up a lot of weight, but I'm in a place where a lot of people are, how do you gain confidence before the strength comes? So like the confidence to walk into the gym and do the shit before the results, to just like be able to be in the same space with guys who are doing impressive lifts.
Stick with us with what you need to do. The confidence will come, the weight will come. I would say 99% of the people in the weight room are not going to freaking make fun of somebody because they can't do a certain amount of weight. You might have the occasional asshole that might snicker or say something, but most of us have a ton of respect for anybody that's going to come into a weight room and put themselves out there and try to get better. So if you don't have the confidence to go in there and you're trying to push weight with some bigger, stronger guys, just stay with it. The confidence will come, the weight will come.
Burritos and confidence are a great way to end off a podcast. I had a fucking blast, Jeff. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's been a great time catching up, and I want to give you one more chance to plug Instagram, website, anything you want people to go check out after listening to this podcast. I'm also going to link it in the description on YouTube and Spotify, Apple, wherever people are listening to this, so they can go check it out at any time.
Yeah. See, for Big Boy Strength, it's bigboystrength.net. The Instagram is, I think, at Big Boy Strength. Same thing with Twitter. I think same thing with Facebook. As far as personal stuff, I don't do any social media. If it wasn't for Big Boy, I'd be off all that shit. So personally, anybody can reach me on jeff.appel@hotmail.com or bigboystrength@gmail.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff. I'll talk to you soon. Hey guys, this is a quick reminder to check out Auxoro Premium, the best deal in premium podcasting. On Auxoro Premium, you gain access to bonus episodes, the unlicensed therapy series, the ability to submit topic suggestions for the podcast, exclusive Ask Me Anything episodes, and the entire premium catalog for only $5 per month. Go to auxoro.supercast.com, that's AUXORO.supercast.com, to join the premium gang today.